Good morning, everybody. A very happy Saturday to you. I hope everyone's doing well. I hope anyone who joined us for last night's Merry Hour has officially recovered. The good thing about doing those streams back to back is this happening on Saturday forces me to behave a little better than I might have on Friday night. So I got up like a human being this morning and I got dressed and I feel pretty good right now. But we did have a really good time last night. So for any of you guys who didn't watch, what we did was we split the show pretty much half discussing movie news stories while having a drink or two, and then we played beer pong for the other half. But then when the stream wound down, we kept playing, and what Matt and I did was we invited somebody from the live stream to come and join us and play with us after. And my partner was Ian from the Patreon team, and Ian and I crushed Matt and his partner. Sorry, Matt. I'm just going to put it out there again. We were so damn good. So, Ian, you're an awesome partner. Thank you for being there and for playing super well. It was such a good time. We have so much to cover today, guys. So, I see everybody in the chat right now. We've got a double dose of Steves, of course. Neil is here. We've got Nate Dogs, Terry. Good morning or afternoon to you all. I hope all is well on your end. So, where to even begin here? So, I have a whole bunch of topics, and the first one on my list is the Snyder Cut. And I actually wasn't going to talk about this today because it was the headline of the Merry Hour last night, but you know, to be completely honest with you guys, it probably wasn't the best topic to have been talking about with a couple beers in your system. And I don't know, the more I thought about it, because it's such a messy situation as far as the pros and cons of it go, that I kind of wanted to revisit it and almost recap the points that I was trying to make, probably not so eloquently last night, because I do think it's the kind of thing where there's a whole bunch of pros and cons to be listed, starting with the positive here. One of the biggest pros of this, I think, is the fact that it's giving fans what they want. Very passionate fans, because I know there's been some issues about fans getting nasty with this demand, but that is not the case across the board. And there are some individuals who have, really stuck with this for a very long time and have been fighting to get this appropriately. They're passionate about this property. They're passionate about Zack Snyder as a filmmaker, and they want it. And I am happy that they are going to get it. The other thing that I've kind of latched onto here is a quote from Deborah Snyder, who said, with the new platform and streaming services, you can have something like this. He can't release something like this theatrically, but you could with the streaming service. It's an opportunity that wasn't there 2 years ago, to be honest. This is making me more open-minded about this existing, because one of the cons on my list is that it could set a bad precedent for other filmmakers, because as I stated last night, sometimes you can go into making a movie with the best intentions in the world, and for whatever reason, it doesn't work out. Sometimes it's legitimate creative differences, and two parties need to part ways. Sometimes it's unforeseen events. It's, probably something that we're going to see a lot of right now, as an example, with productions needing to be postponed, but certain filmmakers being tied to other projects, so they have to leave one in order to fully commit to the other, so they need to be replaced. Things like that happen all the time. But in the case of Justice League, I'm not just talking about, let's say, Joss Whedon, but there were a whole bunch of creative individuals who were brought in to finish that movie on time for that release date. And whether they are responsible for the biggest thing in the world in it or like a teeny tiny thing, they probably put blood, sweat, and tears into that to get their job completed at the appropriate time. And by doing this, it could make their work feel less than. And I don't want that to happen. So I think we are more likely to run into that kind of situation if the Snyder Cut were released on the big screen. But that's not what's happening here. It's coming to HBO Max. And especially from a business perspective, this is a genius move for HBO Max. This creates such great urgency to sign up for that streaming service. So going back to the Deborah Snyder quote, the idea of using streaming services to release alternate cuts of movies does kind of excite me, because first and foremost, I think, I'm just a fan of the art of crafting stories, and I'm really fascinated by how two filmmakers could come at the same, if not a very similar story, playing with the same characters and create two different types of films. So I am very into the behind the scenes idea of that, and just the compare and contrast from, an artistic perspective in that respect, at least. But I would love to see streaming services be used for that, to really dig into, the behind the scenes. It's like, one thing I'm dying for on Netflix are more special features. I really want to see that be the case. But I do think if we're going to use streaming services to release things that wouldn't have the opportunity to be on the big screen otherwise, that's a good thing. And also, I think the place for the Snyder Cut is a streaming service, not on the big screen. The big screen version we got is the theatrical version of Justice League. That is it. Whether you like it or not, that's how it went down. But I do think HBO Max is a very appropriate place to put the Snyder Cut. Now for the bigger issue, though, and even though I'm labeling this as a con at this moment in time, I don't really think I'm going to be able to have a fully formed opinion on what the release of the Snyder Cut means until we can see the repercussions of it, because who knows what's going to happen. For all we know, the movie will come out, folks who have been dying to see this will just be real happy that it exists, and that'll be it. It'll stop there. My bigger concern is the amount of very vocal fans we've seen online. I'm trying to move away from the word bullying here, even though I have seen a good deal of that. So I guess I do need to throw it into the mix here. But I just don't want filmmakers and studios to ever feel pressured or bullied into changing something. And Matt Donato made a very good point on last night's Merry Hour. Sometimes it could be for the better, like with what happened with Sonic, where everybody freaked out online because Sonic looked ridiculous, and they wound up changing the design for the better. In that case, it's good, but I don't necessarily want it to be a thing that whenever fandoms aren't happy with a certain something, that the studios feel the need to to appease a very vocal fan base, just because that's not a realistic way for the industry to keep operating. I mean, the truth of the matter is sometimes we have big blockbusters that pan out and sometimes we don't. And I just don't want this to always be the fallback. So that's kind of where I am right now. I know it's not a really clear representation of what this is going to mean for the future of blockbuster filmmaking, but I don't know. I'm trying to keep an open mind, and I very much am trying to listen to both sides of this scenario right now. And as far as I go, I am not someone who has been sitting here, dying to see the Snyder Cut, but I am going to watch it because I am very, very curious when this thing arrives. I am excited for that. I want things like I want a Fantastic Four tell-all book from everybody involved in that movie. I'm just endlessly fascinated by behind the scenes and how different types of artists can put their touch on a particular piece of material, no matter how many times we've seen it over. I think that actually lends itself to a more interesting filmmaking conversation. So I am very, very curious to see what the Snyder Cut winds up being. I'm also going to jump into the chat here real quick and scroll back, because I did see I caught a super chat at one point. And I know a lot of you have some stuff to say about the existence of the Snyder Cut. Travis Earl is clearly very excited for the Snyder Cut. I am happy you are getting it, Travis. Let's go. Okay, so I think someone was referencing this comment earlier. Matt Stoker is saying, I feel like this argument is overblown. Only certain directors with enough bargaining power can argue for their cut of a film. It has always been like that. Certain directors can only own final. That's very true. I don't necessarily think we would be talking about a director's cut of Justice League if it wasn't Zack Snyder making it. And I also don't think we necessarily should, because when I look at Zack Snyder's body of work, just his type of ethereal expressivity is unlike any other filmmaker. When he jumps into something, he really takes the reins as a creative individual. And whether or not I like a Zack Snyder movie, I can always bet that I am probably going to get a movie nobody else could have made the same way. And I think that's what is going to make his version of Justice League an especially interesting watch from a director's cut perspective that we probably wouldn't get from another filmmaker. Oh no, Ed, I see your super chat. All right. For Barry Sachs reads, now that there's a super chat involved and money involved, I feel like I have to do it. Ed. All right. I'll research it. I'll research it later and see what reads I can find. All right. Oh, Michael, how you doing, Michael from Australia? It's good to see you. I hope you're doing well and staying safe. Is the Snyder Cut going to be in other countries? That is a very, very good question that I'm so sorry I don't have a good answer for you on right now. I need to look into HBO Max's policy as far as their rollout goes, because I know with Disney Plus, for example, it was only released in certain countries before making its way to others. I am not quite sure what the rollout plan is for HBO Max, and I also don't know when specifically in 2021 we're going to get the Snyder Cut. So that'll be a big thing as well, but I will keep an eye on it for you. All right. I am going to move on to the next topic, but if you have any more burning questions about the Snyder Cut, do drop it in and try to get my attention with it, because I'll come back to it happily. These live streams aren't just for me to like blabber on about all these topics that I'm excited about. It's also so we could just like chill on a Saturday afternoon and talk about movies together. This next topic is something I'm very excited to discuss. Jurassic World Dominion is apparently going to be the start of a new era. And I use the quotes because there's a reason to use the quotes, because these quotes came from producer Frank Marshall. And actually, this is a Collider exclusive story here, because Christina Radish got these quotes during one of her interviews. And I am going to paraphrase from the Collider article here. Jurassic World Dominion, according to Frank Marshall, he has confirmed that it's not being planned as the conclusion for the franchise. It's actually going to be the start of a new era. And he also gave an effusive no when asked if Jurassic World 3 was being envisioned as an endpoint. He also said the dinosaurs are now on the mainland amongst us, and they will be for quite some time, I hope. And then he went on alluding to future stories set in this new normal world where humans have to share the globe alongside dinosaurs. So my first reaction to these quotes are yes, 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 because you guys know how much I love the Jurassic movies, and I will exist in this world as long as I possibly can. Sadly, I must admit, it does not, matter what the quality of the movie is. I will be happy to give this franchise another go anytime. And the main thing, though, that is really intriguing me about this quote is this idea of the new normal, because, when it comes to something, really any movies, but for me, a big thing with Jurassic Park was the fantasy element of it. It was an escape to a world where a theme park, and I love theme parks, but it was a theme park with dinosaurs. It existed. If I could step out of the real world and into that movie world, I would have done it in a heartbeat. Yeah, I know the park basically melts down, and that wouldn't have been the smartest move in the end, but I don't know. It's the fantasy element of it all that really appeals to me. And it worked all over again in Jurassic World, a little less so in Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, because I think there's something that's a little more tangible about how the parks are presented in Jurassic Park and Jurassic World that kind of makes it click in that sense that I just described. But I think that this idea of the new normal can have a very similar effect. So this new normal taking place after the events of Fallen Kingdom and, of course, Dominion, which I don't know the specific plot of that film yet, but dinosaurs are out in the world with us. And what is making me even more intrigued by this idea, and what's making me think that this could have a wish fulfillment quality to it, is how successful Battle at Big Rock was. I would sit and watch stories about what people do when they encounter dinosaurs after the fall of the park. Like, I'm fascinated by it. And there are so many storytelling possibilities there, whether you're talking about, I don't know, a family going on a camping trip, like what we got in Battle of Big Rock. I don't know, let's talk about a business owner who has to reshape the future of their business and their industry because dinosaurs now exist in the world. How zoos will be affected. You could go on. That was actually teased at the end of Fallen Kingdom with the Rex coming face to face with a lion. The ripple effect of dinosaurs being a normal part of our world, the creative possibilities for that could go on and on and on. So I really do like that idea. As far as what I would like to see a Jurassic World 4 turn out to be, it's tough to say, until I've seen Dominion, and I know what they've done from a narrative perspective at that one. But at this point in time, I think that the best possible route, and I don't necessarily think this is the route that they would go, but I want to see them go smaller. Again, I really fell hard for Battle at Big Rock, and I want more character-driven stories like that, more stories that make me feel like I could be in that same position, the wish fulfillment type thing again, that reach out and touch it vibe. And I think in order to do that, we need to get rid of, I'm sorry guys, get rid of Claire and Owen. I like them. They're fine. It's just those new characters were not nearly as strong for me as the original characters from the first film. So I think we could do without them at this point. So I think you get rid of the two of them and anybody else who might be associated with the big picture repercussions of the fall of the parks. Take that out and instead release a bunch of anthology movies instead, because they're not just going to make Jurassic World 4, they will greenlight many, many more, and take the battle at Big Rock approach. Focus on individuals in different parts of the country, different parts of the world, coming from different backgrounds, involved in different scenarios, different businesses, and show me how different people in different places are reacting to humans and dinosaurs being the new normal. That's something that really appeals to me. A more character-driven story that still embraces the existence of dinosaurs. I think we're going to get richer stories if that's the approach that they take. Oh, God, I'm out of breath now, and I wasn't paying attention to the chat at all just then. I'm so sorry, guys. I got so into it. Let's scroll. All right, we've got some thumbs up for my take here. This is interesting. And this is kind of what I was getting at a little here, Dillon. Maybe after Jurassic World 3, there will be a TV series. I am hesitant to say that Universal would greenlight more movies and a TV series. It does feel like a little too much to me because, even when you think about it with Star Wars, I don't know. I feel like Star Wars has a lot more behind it. Just think about how long it took the Star Wars film franchise, one of the biggest film franchises out there, to be able to juggle both at the same time. And even at this point in time, there really is only one live action TV series. I'm not counting the animated stuff here, but I don't think that they're quite ready for that. So I think we need to wait. I think we need to wait to see what these new movies wind up being. And, if they wind up building a team of creatives, a team of leaders and executives as strong as what something like a Star Wars has and something like a Marvel has. Again, think about how much Marvel has built in comparison to the Jurassic franchise. And you know me, I never want to belittle the incredible things that the Jurassic franchise has done, but I also have to admit that the MCU is on another level right now. Another level as far as the amount of money it's made, as far as the amount of creative leaders that it's brought into the fold at this point. It's just like, it's a different kind of behind the scenes structure that I don't think the Jurassic team has just yet, but they could get there. And I also do think that Peacock would benefit from having a Jurassic series there because, again, we're all playing that game right now. That's why I think it's a really smart move for HBO Max to release that Snyder Cut. We are in the middle of the streaming wars. You got to win payers over in some way. And when it comes to Peacock and it comes to the success that Universal is seeing with the Jurassic film franchise, that seems like a very smart business move to bring that franchise over to that streaming service. So I am curious to see if they wind up doing it. All right. I got another topic for you guys right now. Briefly talking about this one because it caught my eye. Ruby Rose exiting Batwoman. And it caught my eye because I'm a fan of her work in some of the movies that I've seen. And I know it's a very different type of performance in Batwoman. I know some folks liked her Batwoman performance and some didn't. I have not watched the show, so I cannot weigh in on that. But I do tend to like her presence in the feature films that I've seen her in. And also, I really loved her in Orange is the New Black. But as someone who hasn't watched any Batwoman, this just catches my eye because I am curious to know what's going on, the truth of the matter of what's going on behind the scenes. Because for someone like Ruby Rose, this is a wonderful opportunity. The CW DC shows are soaring, and I don't think we've ever seen someone exit a role. And I don't think there's any clarity as far as if the role is going to be recast. But I want to understand the truth of the matter of what drove her to leave this opportunity. So in doing my research here, there's a lot of stuff out there. So in the initial report, I don't believe that they ever gave a firm answer. But then after that first report came out, Variety did post something that said that Ruby Rose was unhappy with the long hours required of her as the series lead, which led to friction on the set. It was thus decided by her and the network and studio Warner Brothers Television that they would part ways. If there is truth to that explanation, that is a very press friendly statement right there, the way it's worded. If it's true and everybody involved was thinking the exact same thing, good on everybody, because I can understand that. Again, this is a great opportunity for Ruby Rose to give her even more star power than she already has. But there is a whole lot of truth in that idea that if you are the lead of one of these CW shows, you got to put in a crazy amount of hours to be able to pull that off. And as we all well know, with these DC CW shows, they're not going away anytime soon. The Arrowverse is just thriving. These shows go on for seasons and seasons and seasons. And if after season 1, she's like, I don't know if I could do this, I don't really blame her. She's never had an experience like this before. So I can understand why it would be overwhelming for her. And then on top of that, I was also just, reading up about that injury that she sustained performing stunts on the show. And she required surgery, like scary surgery for something like that. And the injury could have left her with paralysis. I can also understand that getting into someone's head. I mean, this is like a teeny tiny example compared to what she must have went through. But you guys know that I tripped on a hike in February and I really hurt my knee and ankle. And it's not nearly as bad as potentially suffering paralysis. But I will tell you that there's like a little bug in my head from that incident that when I get the opportunity to go hiking again, I'm going to be kind of scared. So if someone experiences something like that to that extent, I can understand maybe not wanting to jump in feet first again. We also have another Collider exclusive quote that I think is well worth highlighting. Another one that Christina Radish got from executive producer Mark Guggenheim, who said, "I'm a big believer that anytime you face a production challenge, and sometimes it's in cast, while sometimes it's just logistics, in that challenge lies a creative opportunity." Again, I am going to say that's a good thing, assuming that all parties involved in this decision were on the same page, fully believed that it was time for her to part ways with the series. But I do think there is an incredible amount of truth in what Mark Guggenheim says. And I've been talking about that a lot recently. I believe it came up yesterday, actually, because I did some Invisible Man interviews for the DVD release on Tuesday. And at one point, I got to talking with Lee Whannell and Jason Blum about how you could make the most out of a very small budget. I do think that some of the most wonderful creative decisions are made when you are challenged to make them. If you have endless resources and if it's, sunshine and rainbows on set and nothing ever goes wrong, I feel like, yeah, maybe you're going to make a good product that sticks to the exact plan you have, but you can't create that kind of happy magic that comes from a whole crew coming together to rise to the occasion and to meet an unexpected challenge. So I like his attitude about this. And I hope for the best for Batman, especially for all of you out there who are invested in the show after the first season. And I also hope for the best for Ruby Rose. I would imagine that an opportunity like this, even though she is leaving it, has given her more clarity as far as the types of roles she wants to take to best suit her skill set and also to best suit the type of experience she wants to have on a set. So I like that attitude and I'm holding tight to it right now. So let's get into a super chat. Lighthammer66 is saying, saw the original Jurassic Park movie 7 times during its first release. Yes, your excitement about these movies makes me want to watch them again. It's a good episode. It's a good episode of the live stream, if that is your takeaway, Lighthammer. I appreciate you saying that. Man, you guys hear me say this all the time, but I feel like I'm just like bursting at the seams to say it again right now. I love entertainment. I love storytelling. And when one of my interviews recently was winding down at the very end of it, I probably nervously jumbled this up, but I know that given what's going on in the world right now, some may roll their eyes at the value of a TV show or a movie because there's more important things going on right now. And, you know, that is a minimal thing in the grand scheme of things, especially when people are unnecessarily losing their lives and people are losing loved ones. And it's really like a terrible situation that breaks my heart daily at this point. But I do think there is great value in the existence of storytelling in any format in two ways in particular. It's like when I look at that story where Blumhouse is trying to get a film off the ground, shooting it on the Universal lot right now, and where they have the opportunity to start creating a blueprint of what it's like to create material in a COVID-19 world, I applaud them all day long. One, because it's giving people some work back, and I think that's very important. And two, because it's going to give us more content. And I think you could look at the content in two different ways. On the one hand, recent example, The Lovebirds. There's a movie that just made me happy. Kumail Nanjiani and Issa Rae have excellent chemistry. They made me laugh quite often over the course of that movie. It's a movie that made me happy. Simply put, it is a movie that made me smile, and I need that right now. And then on top of that, you've got something like, let's bring up the new Netflix series, Into the Night. It's an apocalyptic scenario. And I feel like, even though I know it might sound like a stretch to some, I feel like those out of this world, fictional, apocalyptic type things like that are helping me better process what's going on right now and how I'm responding to it and how I could be a better person to help the people around me. So I don't know. I just think there is great value, and nobody should feel ashamed to, latch on to a fictional film or television story right now, because I don't know, there's real purpose to it. And I really think we should celebrate it together. So I hope you guys are enjoying movies and TV right now, no matter for what reason or serving what purpose or what genre, you name it. So you guys, I hope you're enjoying everything. I want to click on this chat here. So Chris Robinson is saying Animal Crossing deserves a Nobel Peace Prize for how much it's calmed down people during this epidemic. So I feel like I got to try Animal Crossing. I'm going to sound like I know nothing right now, but where can I play Animal Crossing? Like, if I don't have any of my systems here in New York, I really only have my computer and my phone. It's not possible to play Animal Crossing on either, is it? Someone tell me, because I really want to play. We have, as always, Caleb here in the chat, always supporting my streams. You rock. Really, Caleb. Thank you so much for the continued support. You're the best. All right. We've got, I need a Switch. Everyone's telling me, look at all these people telling me I need a Switch. All right. So, all right. So I would have to order a Switch. So that would probably take some time. I feel like they're probably like back ordered right now because everyone's probably trying to get them because we're staying home. All right. This might be the reason for me to finally cave and get a Switch. All right. Oh, hey, Ian. Ian's here. You've survived. You've woken up. It was hard for me to get out of bed this morning, but best beer pong team, seriously. Like, what was happening last night? Because just so you guys know, even though I poke fun at Matt Donato all the time, he's seriously one of the best beer pong players I've ever met. And the fact that we crushed him last night, I'm just going to keep saying that. We crushed him and his partner last night. I still can't believe how good we were, Ian. All right. I think I did have another topic. Yes, I did. Oh my God, I have two more topics I wanted to hit today. So here's a big question for you guys. Tenet. Will it hit theaters in July? No, it won't. And it shouldn't. So last night when we were recording Merry Hour, someone asked me if I had watched the most recent Tenet trailer, and I didn't at the time because I was just super busy this week with other assignments. But I did watch it this morning, and no surprise, it's very, very good. I don't fully understand what's happening, but I do think that the trailer expresses a couple of very clear ideas that I could at least latch onto and inspire me to want to put everything together right now and create some real urgency for me to see the final film. But There is no way they are releasing this thing in July. So at the very end of the trailer, you might have noticed that it says coming to theaters. It doesn't say coming to theaters in July. I feel like that right there is a sign that it's not going to happen. In the description section of the trailer on YouTube, though, it does still say July 17th, 2020. The thing is, a YouTube description is very easy to edit. The end card of a trailer after it's been published on YouTube is not. So, you know, I understand wanting to keep your hopes up right now, but it's not going to happen. And it also seems like this is the kind of movie that deserves to be seen on the big screen with a packed house. And you can't have that for a good while now. So I don't think it's a good business move. And I also don't think it's a good move just for film fans who want to experience a Christopher Nolan movie to its fullest. So there is my prediction. It's not coming to theaters. I think Anthony Wheeler nailed it here. Coming to theaters eventually. Yes, because it's Christopher Nolan again. They are going to stick to releasing that on the big screen. There is no way it's coming to any streaming service or anything of the sorts. We are getting that movie on the big screen, and I can't wait until that time comes. I do have another potential postponement here. Should the Academy Awards be postponed? So I've been following the updates with Academy Awards rules and dates quite a bit. Of course, we know some of the rules have changed to accommodate the current situation and how movies need to be released right now. And the latest update came from Variety. They had said the Academy is considering postponing the big night. And that comes from multiple sources who wanted to stay anonymous. And they also mentioned these sources that these plans are far from being concrete right now. So again, this is, you know, it's kind of like the Snyder Cut thing. It's, you know, I won't be able to form a concrete opinion on the matter until I see what the repercussions are. And in a similar sense, until they announce definitive plans, until we have more clarity on what life is going to be like forget February of next year. Just like, I want a crystal ball to see what life is like next month. Who knows? Things could change drastically. They are saying, though, that, and this is a direct quote, it's likely that it's going to be postponed. So I don't know. Let's say the awards are postponed. I don't think that really matters. I don't think the telecast is the big deal. The thing that I am focusing on a little more so is the possibility that the eligibility rules and the deadline could change. That's what I'm most curious about, because I did hint at this just a little bit during the live stream last night. One of my favorite qualities of the Oscars in any given year is that it functions as a time capsule of sorts. It reflects the types of movies made, the types of movies we're all being drawn to, which I also think is a reflection of what's going on in the world. So, given that, I hope that they maintain that deadline. I want the 2021 Oscar ceremony to be reflective of what we went through this year. And I also think that if that is the case and the 2021 Oscars roll around, like that right there could be, it could represent us all coming together as a filmmaking community, a film loving community, and just honoring the movies that got us through this time. I understand that we're not getting as many theatrical releases nearly as we have in years past, and that's changing the game quite a bit, but we are getting a pretty significant amount of them on streaming services. And you know what? Some of those movies are real good. Just because they're not produced by big studios who could push them to a wide audience in the traditional sense doesn't mean they're not worthy of Academy Awards. And I think it could be a very exciting year for some of the, you know, for the lack of a better descriptor right now, for some of the little guys to rise to the top, because it has been very exciting seeing some of the movies that are going straight to streaming services just have so many people talking about them. It's just like thinking about some of the stuff I've covered on Collider recently. I have loved watching people freak out about The Platform and Vivarium. And who knows if that kind of conversation ever would have taken off in the same way had we had the opportunity to see as many movies on the big screen in the traditional sense as we usually do. So I don't know. I'm sticking to the time capsule thing right now. I want to see the 2021 Oscars represent what we went through this year and how we rose to the occasion. So that is my thought on that matter. I'm going to scroll through the live chat right now, but we're already past time, and you guys know what I do on Saturdays. I go to my CrossFit class. So I'm going to put out one last call for any remaining questions while I scroll through these here. So send in those questions. So I do want to say, Rick Morris, if I were to confidently give an Academy Award nomination to someone involved in a movie that has hit theaters thus far this year, I would give it to Elisabeth Moss. And I fully do believe that no matter what else comes out, theatrically or streaming service, it doesn't matter. I really do believe that she has a very good chance at the end of the year of having delivered one of the best performances we've seen in 2020. I really believe that. Especially if, just to play a game with it here, if I took her performance in Invisible Man and plucked it out and plopped it into a different year, I would still consider it one of the best performances of that year. She's so good in that movie. So good. So, well, Sonic wins an Oscar. Yeah. I know. I still think, again, I think we would draw the line. I haven't even seen Sonic yet. That's one of those movies that I missed for, I think, Sundance purposes, but I need to catch up on Sonic. But I am aware of the response to that, and it doesn't seem like that one would have the support to crack into the Oscar race, regardless of what's going on right now. What else do we got here? Oh my God, you guys are so into all these topics. I want to give you guys just a bit. I want to find the source of this. Actually, this is kind of what I'm scanning for right now. So Lighthammer66 is saying live stream it, but not behind a paywall. And I suspect this has something to do with the Oscars, which is another thing that is well worth discussing. The idea of what our situation is in 2021, let's say in February, if it's not postponed, as far as people gathering, because that is another big thing with the actual ceremony itself. Because think about how many people are in that room. You can't really have that if we're still dealing with this. I don't really know what the solution to that would be, other than, I don't know, maybe having two different venues that are filled at half capacity. But again, that's just me making a prediction with no idea of what the state of the world is going to look like next February, and also no idea what the state of the world is going to look like in a month. So that's what's going on. All right, I'm going to wind this down, guys. Before I go, though, I just want to tell you guys, shameless plugs here. I just want to tell you guys about some stuff that I've been working on over at Collider, because I don't know, I'm really proud of some of the stuff that I've done recently. You guys already heard me plug the new Netflix show. Oh, did I miss someone's super chat? I see you, 123 Rock fan. I see you. Oh, I'm so sorry I did that. Hold on. Before I plug my own shit here, I'm gonna find it. I'm gonna find it. There we go. Thank you for alerting me. My apologies. 123 Rock fan. Only time I've liked 3D was the OG Jurassic Park. I haven't seen it in 3D because I was on a trip or something when that happened. But I was recently very tempted to watch it in 3D because someone suggested, it was Hector. Hector was very insistent that I watch Jurassic Park in 3D, and I never got the opportunity to actually do it. So maybe I will revisit it, but I've never been that into 3D, if I'm being completely honest. And some of you guys know that already. I don't know. I just can't really think of, the truth of the matter is I can't think of a single full feature film that benefited from 3D. I can think of examples of scenes in movies that I think were made more effective because of the 3D, but I don't know. I think it was a fad. I think it was kind of unnecessary. And I would rather see things like I find IMAX to be a very effective premium format compared to, let's say, 3D. I don't think anybody ever figured out how to use it to the fullest. So, and I see you, Dillon, here. I know a lot of people would say Avatar did, but even then, because after, and admittedly, I do have to rewatch Avatar. It's been way too long. But even when I watched Avatar in 3D versus 2D, I'm like, yeah, some stuff looked cool. Some stuff, really popped. But I still think the movie played really well in 2D, and I didn't need it. And I'm one of those people that will complain about being very uncomfortable in the glasses. Alita Yeah, no, I hear you on that. I didn't see Alita in 3D either because I missed that when it was in theaters. But I don't know. I would still make the same case that while certain things in Alita could look cooler in 3D, the whole thing doesn't really need it. I still think the movie plays very, very effectively in 2D. It still feels, I'm very hesitant to use the word gimmick because I know a lot of craftsmanship goes into creating that effect, but I don't know. It feels like it still feels like a fleeting thrill to me to see something in 3D rather than something that services an overall movie. So I'm not sold on it. Not sold on it at all. All right. Now, back to my little plugging here. So you guys heard me plug the show Into the Night on this stream earlier. It is in its first season, 6 episodes on Netflix. You can watch it right now. I highly recommend it. And admittedly, I was a little late to the game on it. So I reached out to Netflix to try to get an interview going with the showrunner on that show, the showrunner and writer, Jason George. And they hooked me up and we did it. And we've got an extended interview that I chopped up into 2 parts. So if you need more convincing on whether or not to watch Into the Night on Netflix, go to Collider right now because the spoiler-free portion of that interview is up and running, and I think it might convince you that it's well worth watching right now. Then, for those of you who watched the entire thing, are hooked, and are obsessively thinking of what could come next, like I am, later today, actually, I think in 2 hours, the spoiler portion of that conversation is going to drop on Collider. And he gave some very specific clues as for where to look in season 1 to pick up on things that might happen in season 2. So I highly recommend checking that out. Dillon, I'm glad you like my shirt. So, you know what? This is also making me think of Zack Snyder too, because the opening sequence of Watchmen is like hands down one of my favorite opening sequences of all time. So I feel like after I sign off, before I go do my CrossFit, I'm gonna just rewatch that opening sequence for fun. And before I say goodbye too, we have some long overdue Patreon thanks because one of the brightest spots in my life right now is the Patreon community. They mean the world to me. They help keep all of this up and running, and they've really been key in helping me bring my whole operation to New York with, some production value here. And I actually, guys, I got my Mevo in the mail. I'm very excited to give that a shot. I don't know exactly what's going to happen here with it because there's going to be a learning curve, but the Mevo is super cool. It's supposed to be specifically designed for live streaming. And what you could do is I basically have like a control board on my phone, and I use one camera, the one little Mevo camera that can create multiple angles. So I could essentially sit here doing my live stream and switch it at the same time. So it's like if Dewey was sitting in a good spot, I could maybe create a Dewey cam. And I'm very excited about that. But things like that can happen because of the Patreon community. And that community includes Corey, Andrew, and Paul, all right there, longtime members of the team. So all 3 of you, thank you so much for being here and for sticking with me. And the same thank you goes to Craig, Tabitha, and Brandon, who I've also had the pleasure of having part of the team for a very long time. You guys, seriously, you rock. Thank you so, so much. All right. What else is here? It feels like there's more stuff to cover. I'm so tempted. All right. We have one more Jurassic thing. The only Jurassic series that is officially confirmed is the animated series on Netflix called Camp Cretaceous. Are you planning on watching that? Yeah, I am. When that comes out, I'm definitely going to watch that. I really want to see that. I have to look up when exactly that's coming out, but I'm so tempted to keep talking. I have to, no, I'm out of here. I got to leave you guys something to want to watch next time. But again, thank you so much for being here. I'm going to have some more reviews and stuff dropping this week. We still got a heated competition going on in the Crypto Quote series, so keep an eye out for that every Thursday at noon Eastern. Try to win some prizes. Ian won a prize, Utkarsh won a prize, and I hope they're enjoying those prizes, and maybe you can win one too. So that's it. I'm out of here. I got to go work all that beer off from last night. See you guys soon.